Hey, good morning everyone. It's Tuesday, April 26, 2022, and we are passing through the small town of New Ringgold, Pennsylvania. And yes, that's a railroad crossing you see in front of us. Today is the day that a lot of rail fans have been waiting for as we cross the Reading and Northern tracks here. We're probably going to be back here in a little bit, because today's the big day. 2102, the newly restored T1 484 Northern locomotive from Reading and Northern is going to be doing another test run today. Now, we did cover the test runs a couple weeks ago. Those were shorter runs with basically no load. The one day it went up to Tamaqua with just the caboose, and then the following day it went to Jim Thorpe with just the caboose. And those were a lot of fun, but today's the big test. And the rumor is we're going to see 2102 hauling freight cars. Now, when was the last time you saw a steam locomotive hauling freight cars? Well, for me, the answer is never. It's just not something that's happened within my lifetime. Every time I've seen a steam engine, it's just hauling a passenger train for an excursion, which is very cool, but it's been a bucket list item of mine to see it hauling freight. There's no guarantee that's what we're going to see today, but I've heard rumors of it hauling anywhere from 20 to 50 coal cars, although likely they will be empty. That's just what I'm hearing. As long as I see 2102 in action, I'm not going to be disappointed no matter what it's hauling. But we're going to find out, and I'm heading now into the Hamburg, Port Clinton area. That's where Reading and Northern is headquartered. I have about 7 or 8 different places to photograph the train on a list. I doubt I'm going to be able to catch it in all of those places. And I'm not sure exactly what my starting point is going to be yet. That's to be determined. But I'm glad to have you guys along for the chase with me. This is going to be a big day. Stay tuned, and let's have some fun with 2102. probably never see the likes of that again. Alright guys, the chase is on. I am pulling out of Hamburg and I'm heading in the direction of Port Clinton. And we just caught our first glimpse of 2102 passing through Hamburg. Pulling had to be 40 or 50 coal cars. I didn't count them. And I had a really cool caboose I hadn't seen before trailing on the back. And so the rumor was true. And I have now seen finally a steam engine pulling freight cars. That has been, and now I finally have seen a steam engine pulling freight cars. That has been a bucket list item for me literally my entire life, and now we've done it, and now we're going to see how many more places we can catch it today. I am So we're kind of paralleling damn traffic. Alright, so we are paralleling the Schuylkill River, Port Clinton. We are coming into Port Clinton here. This is the home of the Reading and Northern Railroad headquarters. I cannot tell at the moment if it has passed through here or not. I'm thinking not, because I just looked down the side road and I do see a lot of people standing by the tracks, no doubt waiting. So the good news is we're probably ahead of it already. It kind of does this S-bend around the river. It goes under Route 61, which is the highway we're on, and then it cuts through some very scenic farm area on the way to New Ringgold, and that's where we're headed to catch it next. As I drive, it's interesting to see anywhere that the cars are pulled off to the side, you got a whole bunch of enthusiastic rail fans out there, and that's good tips for future catching the summer excursion runs, because if you see a crowd of people there, you know there's a good vantage point. So gonna have to remember those spots. Good that I have them on film. Alright, so that was stop number 2, New Ringgold, and now we picked up quite the traffic jam that you don't normally see out in the country here. We are heading up to Tamaqua. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge to catch this thing, especially with all this traffic, but we're going to give it our best shot here. If not, there's plenty of other opportunities. You're good. So you probably had no idea where that last clip was. That was Route 443 between New Ringgold and Tamaqua. I saw a huge amount of cars pulled over. It looked like a clear shot. There were lots of openings, and I made a very last-minute decision to pull in because my gut feeling told me I'm not going to make it to Tamaqua in time, and that was probably the smartest move I made all day with all of the traffic and everybody. Yeah, I think I would have just missed it in Tamaqua. So we caught it in an unexpected place. I was a little peeved that a big truck came through right before the caboose, although I did catch, I think, a decent glimpse of the caboose. But the important thing is now I've caught the train 3 times today, and I'm going to go for number 4 and number 5. I'm heading up to Nesquehoning now. It might be tough to make it from Nesquehoning to Jim Thorpe in time to see it pull in, but that's going to be the plan. But it's also possible that by the time I get to Jim Thorpe, it'll already be there. They're running it at speed. I believe what they're doing is simulating a timed run like they would for the passenger excursions that are coming up next month. And everything I've seen so far with the timetable seems to confirm that. So, chase is on, guys. Let's go. Alright guys, so that was stop number 4. That was like the western end of Nesquehoning. I purposely picked an intersection, a road crossing where I knew it wouldn't be as crowded. I mean, every road crossing along the way, you've got rail fans today, it's inevitable. But I figured downtown Nesquehoning in front of the KME plant is going to be a mob scene. And we're going to drive through that in a couple minutes, and I'll put in some footage, because it's going to be crazy. I mean, the train is already ahead of us there. You're going to have just people turning every which way to get on the road to head the direction we're heading towards Jim Thorpe. They are running this at speed. Wow, you can see the traffic stopping now. This is a country road where normally you see 1 or 2 other cars at most when you're driving it. I'm going to say odds are we are not going to beat this train into Jim Thorpe. But I'm going to Jim Thorpe. We will see it there. You know, this is all an adventure. This is what's so interesting about this. Is it's been pretty successful so far, but you just don't know what's going to happen. So come along for the ride. Let's find out. Alright, so we're passing through the eastern side of Nesquehoning now. It was an absolute traffic jam in front of KME, as I expected. I actually took that time to record a whole separate video. You'll see that later. It's going to talk about some changes coming to that area that I think are pretty exciting. And now I'm heading down 209 with the crowd towards Jim Thorpe. And I just looked at the clock because it's a couple minutes before noon. And so it occurred to me, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway runs excursion trains pulling out of Jim Thorpe at 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 3 o'clock. And what this means is right about now, the 11 o'clock excursion train should be passing through Nesquehoning Junction, waiting to get into Jim Thorpe. And that means that's going to hold back 2102 on the tracks until the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway clears that junction, which might actually mean I can beat this train into town. So let's see what happens. This is definitely exciting, guys. I don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. So all we can do is just keep heading down the road and into Jim Thorpe and get ready for the next stage of this adventure. Alright guys, that is the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway 1 o'clock train coming back in. And we almost beat that back to the station. So we're actually going to have to wait to turn into the station until that goes by. It's alright, you get some bonus train footage and you get to see the lovely F units again. Really wish they'd use those to pull the excursion trains. As far as I know, they've only run those on special events, and then they run them on the fall foliage weekends. I see Alan from Revenge of the Apocalypse turning into the station now. He's going to have to wait for the train. They only run the F units for special events and some of the fall foliage weekends. They run them on the weekends that they're not doing steam. And so this is actually good news. Not only do we get to see the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway pull in, but that also means we're ahead of 2102. So let's just hope I can get into the station before that one. Not sure how they're going to be pulling that one in. I'm thinking they're probably maybe only going to come as far as parallel with the F units. I don't foresee them pulling the steam engine right past the passenger platform, but I could certainly be wrong.
go to the dam, but further down. And then it's slow down. Hi, Andy. Working good. Good.
Hey, Andy.
Hi, how are you?
JP's here today with me.
Oh.
He went, where the heck did he go? He was just heading over this way.
Oh, okay.
Ah, it's lovely. This was a bucket list item for me to see a pulling freight.
Oh, yeah.
Been around trains my whole life, never seen it.
There aren't many running.
That's right.
Hey.
Alright guys, I'm halfway home and I just realized I never recorded a proper outro. And that's because catching 2102 pulling freight 6 times today was pretty freaking cool. I'm sure you'll agree if you've gotten this far in the video. But I did something else. It's hard to say whether it's cooler or just as cool after watching 2102. And that's going to be the subject of another video. But in the meantime, I hope you did enjoy today's chase of 2102. That was quite an adventure, tracking it from Hamburg out to New Ringgold to just short of Tamaqua. I guess I was technically in South Tamaqua. I'll have to maybe check the map when I get home. Then up to Nesquehoning, and then watching it come into Jim Thorpe, and then watching it leave through Jim Thorpe. And one thing that the video could not convey about that final departure from Jim Thorpe was how standing on that concrete platform of the train station with 50-some freight cars rumbling through behind that T1 locomotive, it actually felt like a minor earthquake for several minutes. It was really, really cool, and there's nothing that the camera can do to convey that. The sights and the sounds of that locomotive are just absolutely amazing. Today was a true bucket list day, both for catching 2102 pulling freight and for the very cool thing I did after watching 2102, and I'm not going to tell you yet. I'm going to make you wait for that video. Super good day. I did call off the chase of 2102 after leaving Jim Thorpe because, for one, you can see it's raining. The batteries were dwindling. I did have enough battery to film the other thing. But mainly because of the rain and just, I really didn't want to deal with the traffic again in Nesquehoning and Tamaqua. I felt like I would just be running back to the same locations and getting the same shot in a different direction. And I will be doing a lot more rail fanning of 2102 as the year goes on. Most likely today is going to have been the only day that you see it pulling freight. When I say that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, that is probably quite literal, because this isn't the kind of thing you can go do any day of the week. This was a truly special event, and yeah, I could probably keep rambling on the rest of the night about it, but there's probably not a whole else. I'm getting tongue-tied. There's probably not a whole lot else I can say that you haven't seen on the video. I'll be chasing it on May 28th for its first passenger run. Probably filming that up in the Jim Thorpe area. But then on subsequent runs, I'll film it in other places. I'll probably go to some places that, you know, maybe I'll only get 1 or 2 shots that day, but it'll be a little, you know, I'm not thinking of the right word. Places that are a little more challenging to get to. I picked today's spots because they were easy to leave one and get to the next one, but I might hunt down some more, maybe obscure is the right word, or remote locations to view it from. I have some ideas. So lots more rail fan fun to look forward to this summer. So I want to thank you if you've gotten this far in the video. I know it's been a long one between the driving segments and the segments of 2102 running, but thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you down the tracks.